Hey, this is Dave coming at you from the House Fire Project. I think the last video I did, the drywall was not done. I think we were just starting to get going on it. We got the insulation done, and then we got all the inspections done. Luckily, they went smooth. Everything was good. I didn't get any red tags, so that's always good because you kind of worry about it a little bit. But anyways, I'm just kind of showing you we got it all done. We hired somebody that actually lives with one of my tenants, a young guy. He came in and knocked it out, gave me a fair price. He did a good job on it. But anyways, just instead of just showing you things we've done, I always like to do videos just show you how we do things. So, well, first of all, we got all the doors hung too. And I've hung quite a few doors in my life. I wouldn't say I'm a door guy, but I've done a decent amount. But anyways, what we do when we go to paint the doors, we do what you see here. I just rip a lot of times you'll have scrap wood, and we just put 3/4 down on the floor, one to catch the back, one on each side of the end of the doors. And then all you do is just take some screws, 1.5-inch drywall screws, and put one in the back, one in the front, and I just painted these doors, but let me see if I can, it just locks it in. And so this is a really good thing because I used to just put them up on the wall and just paint one side, flip it over, but the problem is it always has a tendency, for some reason, even with new paint that's dry, say it dried for even 3 days, there's something about a real fresh paint still that likes to stick on the walls. And I've had nightmares where you rip the paper off. It's just crazy. If you leave them sit there for too long, it will bond, even though the paint like this is dry. But if I lean this up against the wall for a couple of days, it's gonna cause some problems on the wall. So I found, I don't know if I just discovered this on my own. I think maybe one of the guys that I've worked with before taught me. I can't remember, but we both thought it was a good idea. So who knows who came up with it? But this is just a good way, some scrap wood, and lock it in. That way you can paint both sides, no problem. And it's grueling. I've been painting them. I just paint them with a foam thing. Most people if someone comments on this, they'd probably say, well, why didn't you spray them? And there's an argument to be like, I've always been the type of person that does not like prep work, like doing floors. I like putting the hardwood floor, but I don't like scraping the floor, prepping it, getting all the nails driven in, all that. And I feel that way towards painting too. I don't like doing the prep, putting up tape or painter's tape, paper, plastic, sealing off everything. And the fact that we just got going on and we were waiting for the doors to come in, and we painted the ceilings. And I just felt like, since we're only about 1.5 feet from the ceilings, overspraying it. My sprayer's buried in my basement. It might even be clogged from years ago. I've just never used my sprayer and felt like it saved me time. By the time you do the clean out, you have to load it up, bring it here, clean it, reload it back in. The logistics of spraying is sometimes, you're gonna save time by the time it's set up and prepped, but sometimes I'm getting a call. Let me just cancel that real quick. There we go. Sorry about that. But anyways, enough about painting doors, but this is a good way if you are just painting. I do recommend like a 4-inch roller. You basically, let me see. It's funny because the second coat, you kind of lose track of where you are a little bit. But I have a system. I paint this side down halfway, this side halfway, hit the top this way, across, hit these. I know it sounds meticulous, but when you're doing it all day long, you kind of have a rhythm of, you just know where you've hit on the second coat. Obviously the first coat it's obvious because of the color of the door. But I could roll in some, but then a lot of times what I'll do to get in, I'll just dip with the end, and then you can really get into these spots real quick. Just wham, wham. And the thing is, you can apply paint on a door faster with a brush, I feel. But the thing about these rollers, see, if you put a little bit too heavy on here, you can just roll it over here a little bit, and then it's just perfect with the foam again, and it just sucks it off perfect. And you have no brush strokes because even though these are fake doors, they do have the synthetic man-made wood grain. When you're brushing, you still want to brush with the grain with this. And with this, it seems like you don't have, like I can roll up into this grain, and it dries so smooth and fine that you won't even see the roller once it's done. So I prefer just rolling with the 4-inch foam brush. And I'm going to be doing, it's taking me about 6 hours to do 14 doors, both sides, one coat. So it is time consuming. And unfortunately, you need 2 coats. You can just tell, you can see it. You need 2 coats, unfortunately. But like I said, people will do it how they like to do it. A lot of people are avid sprayers. I just think that there's just too much work in setting the sprayer up. Okay, so then doors. Let me see if I find one. The way that I hang doors is always start, here's where the lock hits in. Here's the hinges. First, we call it finding the story. Let me see if I can, okay. You wanna know where the high side is. Once you find that high side, start on that high side, and then you want to make sure you know how high it is compared to the other side, and you're going to want to take into consideration what kind of flooring you're using. So like if we were just putting down some thin engineered planks that snap together, let's say like sometimes they're as small as 1/8 of an inch, well, these doors would have just been set lower. I know that I'm going to go with 3/4 inch real oak, and I'm not going to be around by the time someone actually wants to tear that oak out and do a narrower floor. So what I do is, like I said, let's see here. You can see this one is off the ground. It's higher off the ground there. So what we did is we found out where the high side is. Since this is the hinge side, we just kind of like, well, I know that if I put a shim under here like a 1/2 inch, since this floor is literally just an 1/8 inch off going across here, I remember this one was actually just almost dead on. I know that this one will just be slightly higher. So if I bump this up to 1/2 inch, this is gonna probably end up at 5/8. So that's good. So then once I know that, and then it worked out where we could just set the side of the jam on that Hardie backer board. So it's basically like a 1/2 inch, 5/8 with the mortar there. Oh yeah, and you can see we notched that a little bit. So anyways, so then once you have that, you found the story of the floor. What side's high, what side low. Then you wanna find your hinge side jam. Is it plumb this way and is it plumb this way? Same thing with over here, just check it real quick, make sure you know where you're at. We built these walls, we usually build pretty accurately within the 16th, so these were all mostly dead on. So with that, you know you're gonna have about 3/4 inch gap. So if you centered it, you'll have 3/8 on each side, 1/4 inch on each side of the rough opening. If we know that it's plumb this way and this way, my son and I we just shim this out automatically just a 1/4 inch off, put the shim right about 2 inches high, screw that all the way, 1, 2. We just use fine head screws on this. I think they just hold a lot better than if you're shooting with a 15 gauge nailer. And that's another thing, people can debate me on it, but people beat up doors really bad, especially tenants. I usually use those fine head screws and actually screw them right in. And right here, Luke did a good job of 2-coating it. You can't even see where those screw heads are. They're just gone now. I wouldn't even be able to tell you if I tried to look for them. But anyways, plumb jack stud. It makes it easier. Shim this a 1/4 inch out. Always hit the top hinge side first on a door. Boom, boom, so that locks that. Then what we do is we just plumb this and we hit the bottom hinge next. Now, sometimes with drywall, liquid nails, warps and lumber, maybe a nail head stuck out, sometimes when you have them perfectly plumb, and I'm talking about the actual jamb of the door, you might realize that it's actually sticking too far out on the drywall this way than it is this way. Now, a lot of people will say, well, yeah, but you still have to put that door jamb perfectly plumb. And I disagree with that, because if you even have it slightly off, it's still okay. And here it is. This is where you can check. Well, we have the doors off now, so I can't show you, but as long as when you open this door at a 45 and let go of it, it stays at that 45, you're good enough. Because like I said, if you build these plumb enough, they're gonna be an 1/8 inch off at best. I find that it's just better to match the drywall on each side so you don't have to sit there and chisel out drywall, because that can become unfun really fast. But anyways, jack stud plumb, shim here first, boom, boom. Now the door's locked in. Now this jamb, we always pull those things out too. I'd rather put them together without the thing that holds the other side of the jamb, because there's very inconsistencies with that, with the top of how close the door is to hitting the top jamb. So we just say, well, it's gonna hit it right now. We usually shim this side higher for now. Hit that one first, hit the bottom one next, and then you slap your level on your hinges and make sure that the middle hinge is touching that level perfectly. Shim it, and then hit this. Now at that point, you have your hinge side completely locked in permanently as to where it's gonna go. And then at that point, we make sure that this bottom off the floor jamb is shimmed perfectly the right distance from the door. Double check that it's lining up to that. 9 times out of 10 with a brand new door, it's gonna line dead on or 1/16 off. At that point, we wedge shims right here. We just wedge them. Oh, I'm always filming down below. Right here, about an inch down, we wedge that. And oftentimes what'll happen, and it happens on every door, this shim's holding the stability of it, but up here often this jam just from the manufacturer will be warped this way or this way. So over here, your door is sometimes gonna be too tight or too big of a gap. So then that way, now that this is secured, we will shim here to push it that way, or to shim here to push it that way. Once that's done and we know that the bottom is done, now equal 2 shims here, we'll then put 2 shims here. And then at this point, once you land this is still high enough up to the top that you're centering it to your drywall. And then you're basically making sure, this is the first start where you start shutting your door in and out, making sure it's coming close to the jamb or the doorstop all the way down. It's gonna be funky a little bit, and then you can kind of play with it where, okay, maybe we do have to shim this a little bit further this way into the drywall and cut out a little drywall here, because right now it's hitting the door jamb or the doorstop perfectly, but the door doesn't seem like it's going in line perfectly with the drywall. That's fine. Sometimes if it's bad enough in that circumstance, you're just gonna pop this off and adjust the actual doorstop to your door. Like if there's a bigger gap down there, you might have to pull the first half of this off and just tweak that 1/8 of an inch. We had to do that on 1 door out of 14 doors. Most of the time, once you have this locked in on the back, on the 3 hinges, lock this in, make sure then that is locked in here now. So then after that, you can pretty much pull those shims that are holding this side of the jamb up. And then you just work your way down. Once we hit this first one, then we just go down to right here and then down to the bottom about 6 inches off, 4 inches off. Then that locks it in. And then what you do, those are your main core shims that will basically, if the jambs were perfectly straight, that is more than strong enough for the entire door. Unfortunately, in the real world, you're gonna have, here's a shim, but then over here, you can see this big ugly swale where there's a big gap from the door, or it might be binding there. So then you gotta shim that accordingly. So you're basically, some of the doors have not too many shims, and then some doors have a ton of shims everywhere. It just depends on the condition of the door, like the door jamb. And then another pointer, like I said, I've done this a decent amount of my life where I've kind of come up with a system. You're always trying to look for like the easiest way out on stuff. Nobody wants to caulk this brand new stuff around door hinges. Nobody wants to paint around them. And I just found over the years, it's easier just to take all of the door hinges off, all of the screws, do this to the doors. And then I usually just take a 2-gallon bucket and we just throw all of the hinges and all the screws into a bucket. And then once you have 2 coats on all the jambs, door casings, and the doors, now you can just go ahead and put them back in place. And then eventually, as we do the hardwood flooring, we might pop off doors in those areas while we're running floors through. Another pointer that I would say is always put your doors in and all of your door casings before you do any painting of the walls, because of this right here. I put Luke on this. He's kind of new to painting, newer than Justin and I. But since this isn't painted yet, it just makes it so easy to paint this. You can see all this paint right here. It's fine. They just hit the back side of this, paint it all the way around. And that's much easier than now you have your walls painted first, and now you have to carefully cut down the edge of this. And it's never a good thing to be in that situation. So I found over the years, it's easier just to put all your doors, casing in, caulk it, paint it 2 coats, paint the doors 2 coats, and then you can just put the doors back on, and then they're out of the way. And then at this point, now that we've primed, because it's very important to prime before we do this, because the caulking sticks to the primer, and you don't want to be caulking on bare drywall paper and drywall mud that's been sanded. It's just not good. So that just makes that good. And then at this point, now that these are going to be painted 2 coats through the whole house by noon on Monday, then it's all about rocking out the painting. Another reason why it's good to hang doors before you do, say, the flooring is because we can predict, of course, we know what flooring we're putting in, 3/4. And this makes it to where when we just guess and shim, especially when you're dealing with these old houses, you're never going to find a floor that's level. You just will not. This one was the best one we had, and it was an 1/8 inch off. Even in new builds, you might want to slap that level down on the floor. But anyways, what this does is it makes it to where you can be imperfect, 1/2 inch off the floor with the jams, maybe all the way up to 3/4. Plus you're gonna add some felt paper down here. As long as you're below the 3/4, you're good. And then you just, when you go to do your flooring, you just slide your flooring blocks up to it, cut it out with your reciprocating tool, or I call it the fine tool because that's the brand I bought. But you can slide a piece of scrap flooring up to that and just use that tool or whatever the hand one. I think it's a Japanese saw, the butter saw, whatever. And it just, the flooring slides in there perfectly. And you don't have to worry about having a floor put in ahead of time on a crooked subflooring, and then have to worry about pre-cutting jams perfectly. In the meantime, cutting it perfectly, trying to get this jam to have the same exact perfect distance on the door to the jam. It's just not a fun way to do it. Get this perfect, float these up a little bit. And another thing is to be said, you want to be careful, like, oh, well, why don't we just slap these all the way down, because the door is about 1.5 inches off of the subfloor, or off of the main floor, or I'm sorry, it would be off of the subfloor if you put it all the way down. Well, 3/4 inch would be fine. You'd have 1 inch. Oftentimes the door swings, let's say this door was to swing out this way, and the door is ramping, this flooring is actually ramping that way a little bit. Well, by the time this door gets to where it almost opens, it will hit the floor. So you still want to gap that up a little bit. That way your doors are still a good healthy distance. And, you know, shag carpet, somebody could put some nice thick padding down, put some nice thick shag carpet down. And if you put these jams right to the subfloor now, you guarantee your bottom of your door is going to be dragging on that carpet. But anyways, we're at, 16 minutes. Wow. And I just figured I'd do a couple pointers of things I've learned along the way. And we'll keep you updated. I'm excited. This is my favorite part of the job, getting to like where you don't have all the, well, first of all, we have heat now. And we don't have tons of nasty, messy stuff we're doing. So anyways, I'll keep you posted. This is Dave, signing off.